Hail fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at the DX Primitive Dragon Wonder Ride book from Kamen Rider Saber. You can see it featured very prominently here on the front of the package. Here is the kind of closed book form, and then this is with the book opened up. You can see it has kind of a picture of the form here in the back, but then it has this giant hand in the foreground kind of grabbing a hold of whatever book you put inside. We'll take a closer look at how all that works in a moment. And then here's kind of a closer look at the form here in the upper right corner. I do kind of like the form, I have to say. I like the color scheme. I think the blue, the white, and the red works. I like the kind of fangs here in the mouth to give him kind of that savage look, which I think is pretty cool. And you can see that the picture just kind of continues on over to this side of the box. Over here you have kind of a nicer picture of the form as well with the book. Not too much going on the bottom, but it does show us that batteries are included, which is always nice. And then over here, it just kind of shows you how you load in Brave Dragon. Then the hand closes over, grasping the book. And it shows you how the phrases and everything work. And of course, we'll take a look at all that. Here's probably the best look at the form here on the back. Like I said, kind of a neat form. I like the blue color scheme. I think it looks kind of neat. So, I'm going to go ahead and get Primitive Dragon out of the box, and we'll take a closer look. So here is the Primitive Dragon Wonder Ride book out of the packaging. And as you can see, it is a very large and very hollow book. That is all just hollow space in there, obviously because another book is supposed to be inserted. But it does kind of make the book on its own look kind of weird, so not a huge fan of that, but it is what it is. Not really too much going on the bottom. The sides do have that kind of like writing on the spine the way most of them do. You have a sticker on the front for the cover, which looks pretty good. You can see it's meant to go in the first slot, so all the way to the left if you're looking at it, all the way to the right if you're wearing it. It does have the little battery compartment here with the speaker. Here's the QR code. Here's the little silver book emblem. And there is a button over here, so we just go ahead and press that once. And if we press it again, so it just says the one phrase. If we hold it down, it just says Primitive Dragon. That's all that it says. You can open it up. You can see you have the kind of drawing of the skeletal hand of the dragon, which is kind of neat. If we press this back, so you could hear there the first time I did it, it just kind of kept making that sound over and over again until I hit it a second time. So it will just keep doing that. And we hit it a third time. It just, I don't know, it just says, I want to get the force. I don't know, just weird to me. Sounds goofy. But anyway, those are the four phrases it'll say on its own. We can close it back up. That's pretty much it for this thing on its own. I'm going to go ahead and bring in the sword driver. So this thing is really meant to be used with another book, but I did just want to show off real quick what happens if you put it in by itself. So if you have it closed and you put it in, so you can get an attack sound out of it. It doesn't really trigger any kind of transformation on its own. That really doesn't do anything. If we take it off and open it, since it's really meant to be open when you pop it in, so you can get it to flip the claw closed, but it still doesn't really do any kind of transformation stuff. So not a whole lot for it to do on its own, but let's go ahead and use it as it's intended. got some pretty excellent standby music. So as you can see, the sword just kind of does this strobe light through all the different colored LEDs. Not really anything coming from the sword. All of the sounds come from the Primitive Dragon book. We can push this back. This music sounds very like Mega Man-ish to me. Now you can kind of hit the trigger and pull the sword out like you normally would, but it's kind of the same sound as when you just pull the sword out on its own, because the sounds are coming from the book. Alright, settle down there. When you pull the book out, it does say goodbye, which is kind of hysterical to me. I wanted to try out, because there is a emblem here on the back. So we've had a couple of the larger books all kind of make these same sounds in the Sword Driver and the Ankoku Ken Kurayami, where it just kind of says giant monster over here, and then the corresponding Japanese phrase in the Sword Driver, which I apologize, I don't know. But so it kind of just seems like a catch-all. It's not really specific to Primitive Dragon as far as being read by the sword with the chip. So, but we can go ahead and try this with Lion Senki, as we did see that in the show as well. So I believe all the sounds are the same, at least, with my ear I couldn't discern a difference. So I don't think it really matters what book you put in there, as long as a book's inserted, you can get the sounds out of Primitive Dragon. So that's pretty much it for Primitive Dragon. Not a ton going on its own. When you put it in the driver by itself, it doesn't really do all that much. You don't really unlock any of the sounds. It's definitely a book that needs another book with it to unlock its full potential. The nice thing is, if you already have a sword driver, then you probably already have Brave Dragon that came with it, and so you can at least get the basic sounds out of this by putting Brave Dragon inside. I do kind of think it's a neat idea that it's a book that holds another book inside, although I will say, when it's on its own, it makes it very hollow in book form, which I don't really care for, because that kind of just looks off to me. It doesn't really look like a book so much as it just kind of looks like another holder for the books or something like that. So aesthetically, that's a little bit of a bummer, but I do kind of like the look of the form with the giant hand in the foreground grabbing a hold of the book and kind of bending it to do its will. It's kind of a neat design and aesthetic there, so I think that's kind of cool. And like I said, I definitely like the form. I like the kind of light blue. Almost makes it look like skeletal or ghostly, which is kind of a little creepy to it, which is kind of neat. So it's a neat design aesthetic, and I kind of dig that. Um, as far as like how much potential this thing has for sounds, it's definitely going to come into play more often when we get to Elemental Dragon, because they're meant to work together. For right now, if you at least have Brave Dragon, you can get kind of the bass sounds out of it, which are okay. There's not a ton to write home about, but I guess on its own with no book, you can at least get the 4 phrases when you just open it and press the cover back 4 times. You get him saying, "I want to get the Force," which I don't know what that means. Maybe he's trying to steal it from some Jedi. What do I know? But yeah, it's a weird phrase, but it makes me laugh. And then otherwise, there's not too much going on in terms of sounds. It'll say Primitive Dragon from the button on the back. No matter how many times you hit it, press it down, whatever, you're getting Primitive Dragon from it, and that's it. But like I said, there is some fun to be had with it with the sword driver, and it should be even more exciting once we get to Elemental Dragon. So I think it's worth picking up, especially if you're planning on getting Elemental Dragon. Then I would say there's no reason not to get this one. If you're just getting this on its own, it's not as exciting. But I think but knowing it has the potential and knowing it's going to come into play more with Elemental Dragon, I think definitely makes it worth picking up. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.